Hello, our friends, evolutionary energy arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
I like this. Demystifying distance healing. How energy transcends space and time. Yeah, things are not as they seem in this world. And there's a reason why things may seem like just so mystical and so out there, too magical to be real. But the reality is that it is very magical. We just don't understand the things that we might label as magical are just sciences that have been perhaps intentionally hidden from us.
That's what I believe. I believe that there's no real mysteries. There's only the idea that we don't fully and completely understand what is happening at that time. So sometimes, a mystic might be called a mystic because they're doing something outside the realms of understanding. And when they do these things, they continue to get the same results over and over and over when they do something. But there is a science behind that. I love to look at it as magical because I live in a magical world. And, when I see things that continue to happen, wonderful things, beautiful things, it makes me happy. And I like to think magic.
Yeah, I mean, I choose to view everything around us having a magical nature. What does that really mean to you? Do you look at the world through a magical lens? Again, we've gone from a Kali Yuga where it was all about darkness, which is really all about ignorance. Ignorance. And unfortunately, often intentionally cultivated ignorance, misunderstanding of the reality that we are in. I do think there's many beings that really feel sad for humans because humans have been going through this existence and having these lives without really understanding the bigger picture. And now that we are in a Bronze Age, it's okay to let a little light in on this subject and all the other subjects. So when we look to distance healing, again, there's a lot of misconceptions that science has given us in order to keep us separated from one another and separated from source.
I think one of the biggest words and their favorite word people, really normal people, like to use is coincidence. Oh, it was just a coincidence. But I wanted to break down and define coherence because it's not coincidence, it's coherence. And that's what we are creating. So, Mike and I, we work on people distance, and we are creating, in definition, a coherent space for other people to synchronize to place their body in a state of healing. So coherence is when a system's is synchronized, it is non-conflicted, it is operating in rhythm. Incoherence is internal competition, noisy signaling, stress dominance.
Yeah, so again, think about what you just said. Coherence is when a system's parts are synchronized, non conflicted, operating in rhythm. What do we see in this world? Are we all synchronized? Are we all non conflicted? Are we all operating in rhythm? No, no. This world operates through incoherence, purposeful, completely purposeful, completely manipulated, and also accentuated. They they thrive on incoherence. They don't want us becoming coherent. That is the thing that they fear the most.
So, some of the bigger misunderstandings with the work that we do is people think the energy is being sent, or something has to travel across space, or, that distance is going to weaken our ability to work with someone. And what's actually happening is a coherent, strong system stabilizes another system. So nothing is being pushed, no force is transmitted. Healing occurs by entrainment, not transmission. That's really, really important.
When you understand again that everything that we view, it might seem like there's, and again, I think science has kind of misled us in many ways. with this feeling of separateness, of vast distances. There's no way life could be coming here from anywhere else because there's these vast distances and it's impossible to travel past the speed of light and all. Again, these are all misunderstandings of the reality of how the world works. And again, it's been cultivated on purpose. This feeling of separateness is something that leads to us going down the path of fear. And through fear, we could be manipulated. When we recognize that we're not really separated at all, that we live in a soup of this energetic potential, it literally is waiting for us to tell it what to do. All these subatomic particles that are out there, they're waiting for you to tell them what to do. So when you have a system that's always cultivating the fear, the separateness, the conflict, the incoherence, then you basically have a system that can manipulate all of us to achieve their desired goal, which is just simply control. Control through conflict, control through division. We, by very nature, are all part of something bigger. This is the as above, so below, as within, so without. And, we've had this conversation with a few people recently doing energy work and explaining to them a little bit deeper, because when we have these sessions, people are always free to ask questions and we'll go deeper into whatever you want to discuss. And so when people ask about this, you have to realize that just as your body is one object, in a sense, it's one singular object, yet it's made up of trillions of different individuated consciousnesses. Yet it operates as one body. We can understand that we're cells in the earth. Are we going to act like viruses, or are we going to act in a benevolent way? Are we going to be in coherence, acting with coherence when it comes to our relationship with nature? Or are we going to be like the system that is very incoherent? Again, regardless, we are a part of the earth. We are definitely a cell on the earth. It's up to us to decide how we're going to behave. And when we look at it from that sense, then, your neighbor is a cell in the earth. Your kids, your grandparents, they were all of us. So we're part of something bigger, and we're literally all connected. When you are within, 4 or 5 feet of somebody, your energy fields are merging. They're merging. They're actually going inside the other person's energy field. This is why when somebody enters a room and they have a very, very either coherent or incoherent energy, you could sense it right off the bat if that energy is very different than most energies out there. So with Cynthia and I, we cultivate our own coherence every day. Like today, what have we done today? I feel sort of negligent because we didn't do any videos yet today. But we probably spent 5 hours working on ourselves. And this is what we do. We do what most people don't have time to do, which is, that self-love, the self-care, and working on bettering yourself, working on strengthening yourself, mind, body, spirit, so then we could share our coherent energy with others.
It's so beautiful. I just want to touch a little bit more on coherence, and then we'll get going on more stuff. So coherence, rule number 1, coherence is state-based. So states don't obey distance the way objects do. Examples of states: calm is a state, right? Panic is a state. Focus, love, fear. So you don't send something like calm, you enter calm, and then others respond to it. So that just goes back to what Mike was saying. This is why we work so hard on ourselves. It's important.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for hogging the mic, sweetie, because I just wanted to jump in on that. So when we work with people, often we'll ask for photos so we could focus on them clearer. I've actually had other energy workers and other master healers, I think, test me in the past where they haven't given me any energy. any energy in the sense of information about themselves. And I, have had them test me by just basically we agreed upon a particular time and date, and they wanted to know what I found. Now I have all the faith in the world with Cindy because she has such a clarity. Very few individuals, I think, on the planet have her level of vision and seeing. I do feel very, very, I'm very, very confident in my own power, energy that I could gather and energy that I could focus, and also my ability to focus single-minded, which has been cultivated through many, many years of this practice, decades. So, what we're looking at in this is that we can become more coherent the stronger our ability to focus is. And that's something that takes time and practice. Yeah, we do carry gifts over from other lives, other incarnations. We can tap into those gifts. But again, it just even takes time to do that, to actually tap into those. So it takes a lot of practice, a lot of dedication. And when we are focusing on an individual and we're cultivating calm, we're cultivating peace, we're cultivating coherence, and then we're envisioning that person. So then we're literally given the signal to every subatomic particle around the person to pattern like us, to pattern the energies that we are at and what we have achieved as far as our base level state of being. I hope that makes sense for you guys.
So intention becomes so extremely important. And I do want to address, I don't know if in this video, but I want to address people, well, what if somebody is sick and say they can't say, okay, it's okay to do energy work on me. There is there is a way to work with that, but you always want to make sure that the person you're working on knows that you're working on them and there is an intention that is set.
Yeah, that's one of the things that always kind of perplexes me, but everybody is a unique individual. But when people would say something like, well, I can't have a session, I don't feel good, that's when you need a session the most, and I did work in a medical office for a good period of time with many other professionals, again, of a very, very high level. And, I had times when I was called in early with people very, very sick with flu, with all sorts of things going on. And they wanted me to work on them energetically before sending them off to an ER. And, I've had cases where I've worked on them energetically, and then they didn't have to go to the ER. This one lady that was close to 90 was really very, very sick. And after I worked on her, she went home and she cleaned the whole house. She was fine. It was just, she just basically needed a repatterning, as Cindy would say.
There was a time when I was sick, and Mike would work on me sometimes daily, and I tell you what, that pulled me through, absolutely pulled me through, because the doctors didn't know what was going on. They just wanted to test, and more test, and they couldn't find anything. I got tired of that. So connection precedes coherence. I want to talk about this because distance coherence works best when there's an emotional connection. So that's why it's important. When we work on people, we do like to have conversation because it actually creates a very relaxing environment. So while we are having this conversation, emotions are coming up. Maybe people are needing to talk about something. And then as that emotion comes up, we are bringing coherence to it. So we are sending the signal to the person's body to say, this is okay. This is safe. You can stay in a place of healing. It is okay. There's a shared history between people, intention or attention, and relational familiarity. So, being comfortable with somebody is so important when it comes to the kind of work that we do. So, and this explains why parents feel children in distress and long-term partners sync moods, and healers work best with people that they know or are attuned to, because usually the fences are down, the boundaries are not so strict, and you can reach someone's heart, because the heart is the most important part. Now, the big one here, the nervous system does the work. So the recipient's nervous system detects a pattern, it shifts state, and initiates repair. So we don't heal them, but the healer creates the conditions so that they can heal.
Yeah, this is very important to understand. So when we're doing energy work, we are channels. Yeah, we are absolutely channels. And in fact, I mean, one of the things I used to do early on in the energy work is I would just zone in on whoever it was I was feeling the call to zone in on, as far as like a healing archetype. So often it was Yeshua, sometimes it was Buddha, other times other entities would come through. And I would just kind of get into a blank state. I mean, I would just slow down the breathing. I would, again, slow down my mind. So all I was doing was envisioning my crown wide open, envisioning my palm chakras completely activated, my feet rooted, the chakras in the feet going into the core of the earth. And I was just envisioning and seeing the energy flowing from me into the person that I had on the table. And that's what I would do for literally, 9 or 10 hours a day, for a long period of time. And that developed the ability to kind of step out of the way. Often our mind is the thing that stops us from improving our ability to literally channel the right type of energy. But it doesn't always work, because it really is up to the person that needs the healing to entrain up to that particular frequency. And if there's something going on in their life that the higher self is not happy with them not attaining, whether it's an understanding, a knowledge, maybe it's changing a pattern, maybe it's giving up alcohol, giving up drugs, giving up a relationship. It could be anything, really. Then if the higher self is not satisfied, the healing won't happen, and it might take longer. And it's all about realizations. As the person that needs to entrain to a higher state of being, a higher level of coherence, it really is all about realizations.
And sometimes, yeah, like Mike said, those walls just don't break down because they're not meant to. There's something beyond the self that someone cannot see. There's something that needs to be remedied. And until that's discussed between you and your higher self, then sometimes things don't happen. Looking at things, emotional contagion. So one anxious person raises stress in a room, and one calm person can settle a whole group. So there's no signal being sent. The state dominates the environment.
And we just connect to the other through intention and focus.
Right.
So again, the level, like how good is a healer? Well, I would say it depends on their ability to focus. Yeah. A lot of it is how well can you focus? How well can you become single-minded? I am somebody that I love and enjoy juggling, doing 2, 3, 4, 5 different things at a time. But when I come into this zone and I'm focusing just on one thing, then it's something that I've developed over decades to just block everything out and simply feel the energy and putting that intention out to help the individual.
Mm-hmm. So heart rate variability. I mean, our hearts are so very important. Coherent heart rhythms influence nearby nervous systems. Measured between two caregivers and patients. So this can be measured. I don't have the tools to do it, but we are going by experience, what we have seen happen. I mean, we have seen I am so blessed to see so many miracles come about because of the energy work that we do at a distance, So we can talk about Reiki because that's probably the most common thing people understand. So we do not send energy.
You say, I mean, it's such a common thing to say,
It's
okay,
just
I'll
common.
send you
Yeah.
energy. It's kind of like a mindless response. But if we're looking at it closely, it's about entrainment.
We create the state, and then the one we're working on, they accept and reflect that state. And that's where, so it's very important that our bodies are in a state of healing, because we want whoever we're working on to be in a state of healing, because they're going to respond to our nervous system. So Reiki does not send energy. It stabilizes the practitioner, reduces internal noise, allows the recipient to entrain. And I just have to say, before I forget, this is why I love working on animals, because they don't have the noise that says this isn't going to work. You don't have to break through anything with an animal. You just have to create a state of love that they can reflect.
Yeah, I think animals are the true angels out there, and they do always feel energy. They always do. As I'm looking at a little cardinal here, and I know it senses me. I've sent energy to a deer that was going through healing problems, and it looked at me right away. It knew in a second, in a moment's notice, that I was sending it energy, and it kind of freaked it out. But I've literally been able to work on a few birds that appeared to be dead, and they came back and they were fine. I unfortunately worked on a cat that I think wanted to let go early on. And I think I kept it alive for longer than it really wanted to. And this is part of the learning process. I realized that I think its soul was really wanting to move on, but I didn't want to let it go. So I kept sending it energy, and it kept staying alive, but it wasn't truly happy, and it wanted to move on. So these are things that we learn as we do more practicing, and it's just like any sort of medical profession. You have a practice, and this is the same.
It's the same, let's look at shamanic healing for a moment. So shamans enter a coherent trance state, and they hold a stable rhythm. They remove interference, and they let the body reorganize. So this is how blocks can be removed and repatterning is done. It's because that shaman is holding that energy and like holding space for the person, and then the person, you can go in and you can go talk to the child that was split and broken and ask that child if they want to come back. Mostly I go in and I hold that stable rhythm and I watch, because the universe is going to do the things, and then I will tell the person that that is working with me, I will tell them what I see and what the universe has done. But really all I do is go in and I stand and I hold, and then I watch and I see what happens. And if I am asked to do something in the energy field, I will do it. So it's a matter of listening. And sometimes, so if you are working on someone who might be in a coma, they might not be doing well, you can work with their higher self, because their higher self will allow and let that through or not, and you just have to trust and ask the higher self. And yes, there are times when higher self says no. So prayer is a little bit different. Now, prayer is probably the safest thing you can do, because prayer, you're not deliberately going in and working with another energy field. You are just asking the universe, please help this person. And that way you are not violating anything. You are sending good energy out, and hopefully it'll be received.
Yeah, and again, with Reiki, typically it's that you're sending this white light, because it's again safer, and the body will take what it needs, the energy field will take what it needs. When you go into pranic healing, medical Qigong, then we use different visualizations of colors as different frequencies, to work on in certain sequences to certain chakras at different times. It's a lot more complicated, a lot more in depth, and it's something that takes a little bit more of a level of understanding. But it's always safe to, visualize the white light, crystalline, shimmering white light. Again, think about a pure, clean, clear river that's flowing fast, and how the sunlight will shimmer in it. Think about it in that light, in that sense, and then send that light. Visualize that you are sending the light, but it's really the coherence is going to happen when the person that you're working on with receives that energy and utilizes it to pattern itself after you and the energy that you are holding. So again, it's very important, if you go down the route of working on others, that you really work on yourself first and foremost. And that's always the first thing that we do when we're learning Reiki, pranic healing, Qigong, quantum touch, all these other systems. You work on yourself first, and then often people will work on their pets second.
And I was really curious earlier, and I was asking my guides, I was saying, if there's no time, why is it when we do work on people, sometimes there's like a 20-second delay and sometimes there's a 20-minute delay? Why is there a delay if there is no time?
And sometimes it's ahead.
Sometimes it's ahead. Good point.
We've had it a million times where people have made an appointment, say on Tuesday, and we're going to see them, a week and a half down the road, and they're already getting worked on. Because again, that's the guide's out of time.
Yeah, that's they're out of time. So, but why the delay happens? So the nervous system, it takes a minute for that nervous system to reorganize. So the parasympathetic dominance takes time, and inflammation doesn't shut off instantly. So the body, the reason there is a delay is the body is switching modes. So it takes a moment for those things to happen. So when you are working on someone, you don't really try anything, because trying can raise the noise. It activates what we call control. It can trigger resistance. Coherent intention is quiet, steady, and non-attached. So a gentle healing can work better. Aggressive fixing backfires, and I think that's when we go to the DR and they're like digging around in us and doing surgery, and that can be just violating, but sometimes people need surgery. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying the body does really well when it feels safe and it's in a gentle environment. So I hope that helps everyone. Hope that clears some things up and takes the mysticism out of distant energy work.
Yeah, absolutely. And then please do check out Testimonials. Again, these are only a few. We work on people every single week. We have sessions with people all over the world. Our regular clients, they're from everywhere. They're from, again, Europe and Asia, Africa, Australia, New Zealand, all around the world, North and South America. Distance doesn't matter at all. Even language barriers really are not going to matter at all. It's really just, again, it's about there, and I want to say the word send, but it's about patterning. It really is about patterning, and it's about pulling the frequency up and molding the frequency into a, again, coherent state where it can be functioning optimally.
And I just want to say before we go, I utilize, I practice Vedic astrology, and many times during these sessions, it is so useful to utilize Vedic astrology to help someone figure out, okay, why is this happening to me? How long is it going to last? And it's just really good for kind of uncovering hidden truths that you might not realize. So things that were going on with someone as a child, now they're starting to break out after they're 55 years old. Well, there can be planetary involvement there. And with that, we can usually find a timeline. So it's been very helpful for some people. Some people don't need it. Some people have found it very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we have seen miracles, and this is an exciting time because really, with some training, it really is up to the individual how much they could focus and how much they could keep their frequency high. But we could all become amazing healers given the time and the right conditions. And again, this is why we personally are very, very careful with whatever we put into the body, because that definitely affects your frequency. Just, reading over here, this one is from a doctor. Cindy mentioned a blockage in my solar plexus that I could quite literally feel go away. I was so amazed that this took a few moments to realize my headache had gone away as well. Wow, I'm not sure how all of this is possible, but I'm reading and trying to learn because it's amazing. I'm also at this very moment about to schedule another session and get one for my family members as well. Yeah, we haven't really had to advertise because it's word of mouth, and we do have people that we work with and have been working with for 10 years, and literally even before any of the YouTube channels. So yeah, using a tuning fork at each of my chakras, I could literally feel which chakras she was working on. Some like my root and sacral, I felt a pulling sensation as if blockages were being pulled and lifted right out of my body and my energy field. My heart chakra, there was a small physical pain there. I felt it, and then it released, and the crown felt a wonderful tingling. I'm describing this so others will know how and what they may feel when she does energy work on you. I didn't realize how much I was holding on to, and I'm so grateful and glad I scheduled with her. So yeah, absolutely. It's just, if you truly are in alignment with your higher self and trying to become the very best version of yourself, and usually these things can go away. There's realizations that we have to have, and we need to be in a coherent state of being with the higher self, which takes time. So what we do is we help to entrain others so that they can be in a coherent state with their higher selves, live up to their best potential for this incarnation, and then, go along and help others as they go.
And I think it's also important to note that it's important to be able to talk about things. And sometimes you might not be able to talk about certain things to a DR. They might not understand, or they're in the 3D. And we do have experience with all kinds of things, like, entity removal, people dealing with grays. I mean, it goes on and on. But there are reasons behind that, and there are things that can be done about it, but you need to feel comfortable and safe with the person you're working with. It's not up to me to decide what you are experiencing. We need to meet you where you're at, and whatever it is. And if you don't like it, there's things that, we can help with and change to adjust what's going on.
Absolutely. So again, you could reach us evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. You could reach us through evolutionaryenergyarts.com or through Patreon as well. As always, guys, much love. Hope this helps with your understanding. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.